Good morning and welcome back to Ladybug Grace. I can't remember the last time I did 3 days in a row of videos, but this is continuing on the past 2 days for 1Kings and Solomon and remaining faithful and using wisdom. So I want to continue with it because, again, I felt pressed and I felt it was a good decision to do. Hang on one second. I'm going to have to yell at a cat. But before we begin our prayer, Father, as I read and receive your word, may it deeply be rooted in me. So when difficulty comes, it'll be your word that encourages and strengthens me. Totally unrelated to what we're talking about here, but maybe it is. But reading this prayer, I've gone through a few days, well, more than a few days, of, I call it darkness. And, reading this prayer, I need to actually believe it and understand it and go with it because reading this, that was my difficulty, and what did I do? I had a hard time getting out of that darkness. But anyway, so we're going to continue in 1Kings, but we're going to be in chapter 11, 1-6. Oops, we're over here this time. You're okay. Now King Solomon loved many foreign women. Besides Pharaoh's daughter, he married women from Moab, Ammon, Edom, Sidon, and from among the Hittites. The Lord had clearly instructed his people not to intermarry with those nations, because the women they married would lead them to worship their gods. Yet Solomon insisted on loving them anyway. He had 700 wives and 300 concubines, and sure enough, they led his heart away from the Lord. In Solomon's old age, they turned his heart to worship their gods instead of trusting only in the Lord, his God, as his father David had done. Solomon worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Moloch, the detestable god of the Ammonites. Thus Solomon did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He refused to follow the Lord completely, as his father David had done. So, in the In Touch Journal, which their video will be linked in the description below, please follow their channel if you're looking for words of wisdom and daily readings. They also have many of his older videos there that, like yesterday, I listened to it all day. What he had, various videos. So please take a moment to look at their channel. But today's message is, God gives wisdom when we ask, but we are responsible for applying that wisdom daily. Let's consider Solomon again. Despite his great understanding, the latter part of his life was marked by a turning away from God. Solomon had clear instruction not to marry foreign women, but he chose to reject God's wisdom and do it anyway. The influence of those wives eventually led Solomon into the worship of idols. The unfortunate downfall of the wisest man who ever lived is a helpful warning for us. No matter how strong we think we aren't above making choices that could cause us to turn away from the Lord. Over time, small decisions to ignore God's principles can have a devastating cumulative effect. Slight compromises in how we live can put us on a path leading away from God and his perfect plan. Is there anything in your life that you know shouldn't be there? Have you been justifying it? If so, ask the Lord for forgiveness and submit that habit, situation, or tendency to him. He's waiting with open arms. Choose to apply the gift of God's wisdom to your everyday decisions, today and throughout the entirety of your life. Let's stay faithful in the walk of wisdom at all times. And again, reading that, it goes with the other 2 days where we were a heart for wisdom, put God's priorities first, and now to remain faithful. So the one line that meant the most to me and it kind of made me think was, here it is. Small decisions to ignore God's principles can have a devastating cumulative effect. Slight compromises in how we live can put us on a path leading away from God and his perfect plan. So when we're bored, God has this path for us. And he's like, this is where you're going to go. So you're going down there. And I wasn't where I was because I was raised Catholic. So I was different back then. And I don't even know if I would have asked for guidance back then. I don't know. I mean, who knows? But imagine... And I think back on all the decisions I made. And I just did it because I felt like it was a good decision. I never asked. Never did anything. Just kind of went with because it was what I wanted. And when I think about that, it's like where I would be today. I mean, I know in the end they always say you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So that's the question. It's kind of like devil's advocate there. It's, hey, God had a path from here to there, but, he knows all and knows where we're going. But is it the kind of thing where he has a path for you, but he already knows you're going to do this. So he's going to, this is where you're going to go. You're going to be meandering around here and then get lost and get back on track. And, you're going to get lost again and get back on track. So it's an interesting thought there where, he knows your path. He wants you to go this way, but he already knows you're going to make these choices and go, and he's going to wait for you to call out for help. I guess that's probably the way it goes, because that's the way it happened. I know for me, at least, how many times. And I always go back to, when I'm driving, that day I had my accident in August. And I was like, okay, I'm always like, all right, Lori, and I always say, which way should I go? Because there's always this one area. And I felt you go right to take this back road. And I said, well, no, I'm going to go this way instead. I'm going to go this way. And I think it's because this guy who was in front of me was going really slow. I'm like, I'm going to go this way instead. I don't want to be behind him anymore. And then I had my car accident. I got rear-ended pretty good. And it changed my life, actually, because of the pain. And it's amazing how something like that happens. So, again, the wisdom I had asked, I ignored what I felt, and I say heard what I felt to do, and I ignored it. And then look what happened to me. So, small decisions where I ignore his wisdom, his path. That really wasn't a principle. I mean, it is because I'm supposed to ask for wisdom and follow the directions. So I guess that is a principle there that I didn't follow that day. But how many times have we done that and went a different way? Then, of course, is there anything in your life that shouldn't be there and have been justifying? That's one thing I got to ask myself. And I'm sure there is something. Where was that one thing from yesterday that I said, or maybe it was the day before? What was it yesterday? What do you want? That was yesterday, yeah. How would you answer? So that all goes into play. Sorry, it's going a little longer. But anyway, I hope you have a great day and a blessed day. I'm already at 7.5 minutes. I don't want to go too much longer here, but that's something to think on. I know for me today. Is there anything in my life that shouldn't be there? So I'm going to church tonight. They do Bible study on Wednesday nights. And I'm going to go and see what words he has. I think he's in Jeremiah right now, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I hope you have a great day and a blessed day and continue the journey with me. Every single day, it's something different. And maybe I'll be back tomorrow, but tomorrow we're in Romans and says God is everything. So I'm not sure if that's a new thought process or where it's going there. But I will talk to you another day. Bye.